there's so many moments in here where I was like, listen, I don't know and I really don't care. He is actually Swedish. Not that it matters, he's still white. But like in their head, like, oh, like I want to screw him. It's not the strongest one and it's not my favorite one. Where did things go wrong? And him and Hey, welcome back to my channel. I have been reading tons of new releases this year. Tons. And we're about to read some more. This time though, these are gonna be early releases because these are gonna be some of my arcs that I have that it's time to read them. First up, Sleep Like Death. This is an art copy. I was gifted this from Bloomsbury through Cocoa Pages? Cocoa Chapters. Yeah, I got it through them. I am almost done with it. I am on page 224, 225. I probably have like 115 pages left. I am loving this book. So this is by Kaylin Barron. This is the same author that wrote Cinderella is Dead. I could go grab it, but I'm lazy. I was super nervous to read this because I have read her multiple times already. I think I've read all of her books, by the way. Her first book of hers that I read was her debut, I guess. I think that was her debut. Cinderella is Dead. No, This Poison Heart might have been her debut. I don't know, but my first book of hers was Cinderella is Dead. It did not go well. I ended up giving it like a 3. I read it, but I was just reading the words off the page at some point. And out of all of her books that I've read, that's a retelling, like a reimagining of a fairy tale. She has some YA fantasy. She has horror / slasher. And I loved all of those. Those were 4s, 4.75s, 5 stars. Cinderella is Dead was the only one that was a 3-star or even a little lower than that. So I was super nervous to get into this because this book would go into the same category as Cinderella is Dead. It's a reimagining or a retelling of a fairy tale. And this book is featured in my video where I'm doing my hair and I'm talking about some of the July books that I've read already. And I started talking about my current read, which was this. And I couldn't remember which fairy tale this is a reimagining of because as far as like Disney fairy tales and stuff, I'm not familiar. I've probably seen them a couple of times when I was a kid. I'm not interested. If it's not Mulan, and I'll throw in, what is it? Princess Tiana. Oh, what's it called? The Princess and the Frog. I think I've seen it twice. Mulan, though, out of all the princess movies, I've seen multiple times. The Princess and the Frog, I feel like came out when I was 10. I thought I was older, but I think it came out in 2009. But I didn't watch it until I was like 20. I know, shame on me. You know what? I can't. I have to see when it came out. I'm obsessed with when things came out, like premiere dates, debuts, whatever. The Princess and the Frog. Yeah, December of 2009, I was 10 and a half. I didn't watch it until I was, I want to say 20. It was during COVID. We were back home from school. So I'm not familiar with all of them like that. I say all that to say, I think I had mentioned in there I thought it was Sleeping Beauty, but it's not. It says it right there. It's Snow White. Okay. I'm really enjoying this. I will say there's so many moments in here where I was like, I don't know if it would be as shocking to someone who is super familiar with Snow White. I know the basics. I know about the poison apple because I can see the apple in her hand. I know about the 7 little dwarfs. I just don't know the storyline. Because I get Sleeping Beauty mixed up with Snow White. Because aren't they both asleep? But is Sleeping Beauty Aurora? That's the one in pink. But I thought there was another one that slept besides Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and like someone else. Listen, I don't know and I really don't care. And I already lost my train of thought. I was super nervous because it is a reimagining. Oh, yeah. So I don't know if anyone else who is super familiar with Snow White, if they were to read this and be like, oh, like, I remember that from the movie. It's cool how she did a twist on that. For me, it's super shocking because I don't even know if I've seen Snow White. I probably have one time. I don't know. But I'm just not super familiar with it. So many tabs. and I actually ran out of my green ones. I'm not a fan of the colors that I chose, but I feel like that also means I'm not a fan of the colors that she used on the cover. I feel like these colors don't go together. Like the red is fine. I think what I don't like is like the color of her armor. It's like a light blue, but it could be the green that's throwing me off. Like these look fine, but I also have lime green that I was using, and it could be because I was using like a lime, you see? So while I was reading on my break, I had to mark the pages so I know which page I need to go add the green one to. We have a princess named Eve. She is the daughter of the queen of their world, in this fantasy world. There's a knight who is evil, and basically he will grant you a wish, but literally he will grant your wish, and he's going to get something in return. In this one we have Eve, who is kind of being trained, and she's under the impression that it's going to be her duty at some point to take this knight out. Little does she know it happens a little sooner than she expected, because she ends up finding something about one of her moms, and it involves her. So she is now going on this journey to take this knight out. I don't want to spoil anything, because I feel like so far what I've read, I feel like there's two different parts. There's the first part where she does go on this journey on the hunt for him. She does find him, and that journey ends very abruptly. And then there's the second half where she finds out what, yeah, I guess I can say that. She finds out the secret that her mom was keeping from her, and then that we jump into this second part. It's not actually part 2 or anything. I'm just saying we jump into this second part where, because of the mom's actions from in the past, it's now affecting them in the future. And that's kind of where I'm at. Well, actually, now I feel like I'm entering a third part of the book with everything that happened after that second part. So now we're kind of winding down, and I'm having the time of my life. I just don't know if it's 5-star worthy, because now that I'm kind of entering that home stretch, now I'm kind of thinking of the rating that I want to give it. For sure over a 4. I think the length is perfect. At first I was a little worried, but I think that there's really no part in here where I felt bored and I felt like I needed to skim. A 5 feels too high, but I don't think I want to give it a 4.75 either, because I would have to round it up to a 5. I really want to round it down to a 4, but I just need to decide for Storygraph, do I want to give it a 4.25 or a 4.5? But I still have time, right? I still have a little more than 100 pages left. And this book is already out. This came out sometime in June, like June 25th. Which is why I'm so surprised that I got an art copy of it, because I feel like normally through Coco chapters, I normally get finished copies. But now I'm having like a brain fart. Good morning. Do not mind my shininess on my face. It is my sunscreen. I was able to finish Sleep Like Death last night. I stayed up till 10:18 is when I finished, or 10, and I got into bed at 10:23, something like that. Ended up giving it a 4.5, but I rounded it up to a 5. Again, I said that I was super confused. I think this author, again, if she continues to do horrors and slashers like You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight, she might become one of my favorite horror authors, because I think she writes scary scenes so well. There were a couple of scenes in this book where I was like, oh my gosh, had I been listening. Oh, I did have some type of audio going in my ear for like a couple of chapters. It's the dark fantasy lo-fi, whatever. I listened to that and it went so well with the book. And had I been listening to it, the scene that I read, I would have been scared out of my mind. Towards the end, whenever everything's kind of unfolding and we're finding out the rest of it, like the story, I was still a little confused. So that kind of solidified it not being just a full-on 5. I think I need to read some negative reviews and positive, but sometimes if I'm confused about a book, like information-wise, I will read negative reviews because they tend to spoil a lot of things. Sometimes I get the information that I wanted from those negative reviews. Next, I'm going to be starting another arc, and I knew I was getting this one. I think, I lie. I'm not going to read it next. I still have until the 30th. I just got it today, which is July 16th, and it doesn't come out till the 30th, so I can read it, this weekend. My next book is probably going to be Jewel Me Twice. That comes out on the 23rd. So how long do I have? When is the 23rd? That must be next Tuesday. Yeah, so it's next Tuesday. So I still have a little time because I am going to be starting Curvy Girl Summer. This is in another video. Hi. I totally forgot that I even started a video. I just posted one yesterday on Sunday. I mentioned Jewel Me Twice, and I'm gonna be talking about another book as well. I'm gonna probably be talking about two at the same time because I just now started reading 3 books, 2 for this one and one that, is one of my library books. So Jewel Me Twice is a second chance heist romance. Celeste, St. Pierre, and Magnus. So this is interracial. He is actually Swedish. Not that it matters, he's still white, okay? And she's black. They were both a part of a heist crew. One of the last heist missions that they go on, it goes wrong. And it's been 5 years since they've all seen each other because it was them two. There was another person named something with an S. And then they have Lawrence, a man named Lawrence, and a woman named Dr. something. And she's the one that's like mother. She is on a mission at the beginning of this book, runs into her old thing. They go their separate ways, but honestly, we kind of get the feeling that there is some history there, which there is. Fast forward to like the next day maybe, they both and the other person that was a part of their crew get a letter because their mother, Dr. whatever her name is, dies. She has one last mission for them. They all get together and that's kind of what it's about. I'm enjoying it so far. This comes out tomorrow, July 23rd. This was sent to me from HTP. Y'all know. Anyways, this is specifically Canary Street Press. I'm on page 72, 73. I'll have some more updates later. Another book that I've started, this comes out, I want to say July 30th or July 31st. This is called A Dance Macabre. I've never actually said that word out loud. This is the cover. This is by Naomi Loud. She's an indie dark romance author. I have read every single book of hers. This is probably her 4th book or her 5th. She has a series that is 3 books. She has her latest one that she just did, On the Line or Off the Line, On the Line, and then this one that's coming out. I am now on her art team, so I did get this arc. This is a dark romance. The world in here kind of reminds me of the Dark Olympus world from Katie Roberts' series, from her Dark Olympus series, where there's a group of people that are, I've never watched Gossip Girl, but they're like, correct me if I'm wrong, but Gossip Girl has like elites. A lot of the main characters on there, their characters are like the elites of their world, so a lot of people just know them. They're famous, whatever. That's kind of how this is going, and again, it's reminding me of the Dark Olympus world. I don't quite know how to explain this just yet. I'm only 7% of the way through. The only tropes that I can remember is enemies to lovers and forbidden. Let me see, because I have read 7%, like come on now. So of course I don't remember their names, so we're just gonna use FMC. No, I can't. I'm gonna have to find their names. Mercy and Wolfgang. Mercy and Wolfgang, again, are a part of the elites of this world. And they're each the respective heir of their family. They don't like each other. I don't know yet why they don't like each other, but they don't. And I know a lot of people say like enemies to lovers really only works best in fantasy books. A lot of romance books, it's one-sided, and I totally agree with that. This actually feels like enemies to lovers. It's not like they're fussing with each other in private, and then like, or not even in private, in public too, but like in their head, like, oh, like I want to screw them. Like, that's not how it's working. Obviously though, they're going to get together, so it's gonna turn into lovers. And you know what, I'm gonna read the synopsis because I can't not tell y'all what it's about, and I'm sure I butchered it.
Mercy and Wolfgang have always been enemies, fueled by centuries-old family quarrels. Their hatred runs deep, and if we didn't prohibit it, they'd have attempted to kill one another. But as much as they want to fight it, even the powerful can't escape fate. While they both believe the city of Provincia is their birthright and will go to great lengths to gain control, their arrogance and thirst for power will lead them directly on the path of our choosing to claim their rightful place as rulers of Provincia. They will need to become a unified team. But what happens when the lines between hate and obsession begin to blur? And to satiate their lustful desires, a divine law must be broken. Is this dangerous hunger worth each other's demise? And will they realize that they have been our puppets all along? With a magical realism twist.
Did you miss me? I'm wearing my glasses, but oh look, it's raining outside, so yeah. This book right here, I'm giving a 3. I just haven't decided if I'm gonna be more specific and give it a 3.5. So I've rounded it down to a 3 regardless. Had you given me this book to read without telling me who the author is, and then you tell me afterwards, or even had me guess, never in a million years would I have guessed this was written by Naomi. I mean, if I'm comparing it to her other books, it's not the strongest one, and it's not my favorite one. Now, I will say this, I'm not a huge dark romance reader anymore. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I do want to give it a 3.5 because I was going back and forth on whether or not I should round it up to a 4, because the whole reason I read the book, yes, it was an arc. She writes great spice. I do still read spice, but I have to crave it. Like, I have to be in the mood for it. I was in the mood for spice, and it's like once I read this, the spice was good. She does good spicy scenes. Everything else I just wasn't that into. The other plot, they have to co-rule or something. I'm telling myself, I think it's just because it's dark romance. Jewel Me Twice update. I put it on pause because it just came out yesterday, which was Tuesday, July 23rd. Today's Wednesday, the 24th. And my whole point of starting it was to hopefully finish it by its release day. I did not. So there's no point in like, it's good, but there's no point in like continuing it right now. Like, I can take a little break from it. Hi. Y'all probably can't stand me. Okay. I don't have a shirt on. Okay. I have some updates. I need to check and see how long it took me to read this and what I gave it, because I do not remember what I gave it. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So, Jewel Me Twice. I'm just now checking my story graph. I started this book July 22nd, and I did not finish until August 13th. I'm giving it a 3.5. I'm rounding it up to a 4 for Goodreads. If you look at the book, there's still my bookmark. I have tabs and then no tabs. It's because I just finished listening to it. So I stopped on 156, 157, which is around the halfway mark. My library finally got the audiobook for it. I was very grateful. When I found where I had stopped, I had already listened / read 4 hours, or a little over 4 hours, and I had 4 hours left. Where did things go wrong? I don't know. I do have one thought. So this book, again, it's a physical arc of mine. Honestly, I'm not a physical arc person. I really only get physical arcs through one publisher, and that's HTP. At least that's the influencer program. I need to stop signing up for the arcs because I'm also taking it from other people. I told myself if I do get physical arcs, I really need to try and read them before they come out, because for some reason, as soon as these books come out and I have not read it yet, I do not want to read the physical arc. I would rather go and get the finished copy and read that. I have an arc from Forever Publishing from like 2 years ago. I still have the art copy. Have not touched it, and I want to read it, but it's on my library wish list because I'm not planning on reading the physical art. I think what it is, these publishers will tell you every which way, this is not a finished copy, so there could be mistakes and all that. I don't believe that. That's just me. I think it's a load of bull that they be saying, but I've read so many and nothing changes. So it's like, you're telling me that for like just in case, and then read the final copy and everything's the exact same. Nothing that changed. I don't know how rare it is for something to change. I don't like the idea because I don't like rereading. The minute I promoted this, like I posted about it on my Instagram stories that I was reading, because I wasn't lying, I was enjoying it. But I don't know, I think I also wasn't ready to read it at the time. I was forcing myself to read it. Although I was having a good enough time, it just wasn't enough for me to continue reading even that day. I took a break, and a break, and a break, and a break. And I read other things, and I finally got the audiobook. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and finish it. And I finished it I finished it yesterday. It was good. I think it would have been even better had I read it no stopping. Like, I don't know however many days that was. Almost a month, you could say. No, not really. That's exaggerating it. I was right that this one had a lot more romance than To Have and to Heist. This was focused a lot more on the romance, and I think that actually is what took me out towards the end, because once they start getting back with each other and trying to restart things, I don't know, it just felt a little too much. I will say I found the smexy scenes to be corny and cheesy, and that is just so strange. I used to be a spicy reader. I don't know if I read too much, because I've always been a reader since the day I was born. Well, you know, since I was in the womb. When I couldn't read, obviously my parents read to me, thankfully, gratefully. And then when I learned to read, I just kept reading from there. And 2021 is when I started my Bookstagram first. I was reading the same books that I was reading, you know, YA thrillers, YA romance, not really adult romance, not really adult period, adult thrillers. I somehow found my way on the spicy side, and I was obsessed. And the rest of 2021, so from like around my birthday, June 8th-ish, to the rest of the year, lots of spice. I got KU. I think that was the year I also got my Kindle. All of 2022. First of all of 22, I read the most books I've ever read, ever. It was like 237 something. But that was also my first full year of no school. I graduated college in 2021. It was weird not having school, you know, for majority of the year. And out of those 237 books, most were probably spicy. KU spicy, Indie spicy, spicy. 2023, yeah, kind of like the first half of the year, and then at some point I started going back to the library. Typically books that I read physically from the library are not spicy romances. They're not indie either. You can get indie from the library as well. Typically indie books I read on KU. I say all that to say I'm just not really into the spice. I just don't know if it's because I've read them so much, and I will get into the mood and want to read one. When I do, I don't want it to be a novella, like just a short erotica, because I do want a little story with other things that's adding to the plot without the smexy scenes. When I read those, it's like it takes way too long to get to the smexy, to get to the smex. And it's just frustrating. But yeah, so I found the talk to be a little corny. It could also be, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like cartoon covered spicy books or books with spice in it, because I would say, I keep saying this is a spicy book, but it's a book with spice. Again, it could just be because I'm looking at them and I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. It was lots of like dirty talk and him and yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
You fix that fucking attitude right now. Don't make me correct you again, love. You know better. Stop being a fucking brat.
I will knock your ass out.
The first half was, you know, good. And then as far as the heist goes, I thought it was interesting. However, it was almost too much going on. But what happened was her, I don't know what you call it, but the older woman that has died and have them go on this one last heist. And it's like little different things that kind of all are connected. It was okay. But I'm still going to round it up to a 4 because I know that I have these sentiments because I paused from reading this for so long. And that's not the author. Well, it's not technically the author's fault, but I also wasn't into it to keep reading it, if that makes sense. I did read my last arc. I'm not really an arc reader anymore. I could go on and on. Chatty Cathy today. But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below an upcoming book release that you're excited for. Or a green heart because of the green apple on the cover for Sleep Like Death. Sorry. And I'll see you next week. Bye.